Hello ladies, good morning, happy Monday. I hope you're having a good start to your week. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. Today I want to talk about a conversation that I had with a client, and the topic of this live is no excuses, just choices, taking charge of your health and fitness. So as I mentioned, yesterday I had a conversation with a client who struggles with her nutrition on weekends. And I know she's not alone. That's why I wanted to talk about this, and it actually comes at a perfect time because I've been sharing over the last 2 Fridays mindset lessons on taking radical responsibility. So her and I, we had a conversation about mindset, not necessarily about discipline, because we always think we're just lacking discipline. That's not always the case. But we had a conversation about taking or accepting responsibility about her choices. And you might be asking, like, what does it mean to accept radical responsibility? And I want to somewhat summarize what I've been sharing in the group chat, and of course, throw in some examples that I chatted about her with yesterday. So accepting radical responsibility means taking ownership of the outcome and the consequences that result from your choices, actions, words, or lack thereof. Ownership of your choices and actions puts you in the driver's seat, which is particularly important when you're working towards goals that are important to you. And she mentioned to me that she went out on Friday night for dinner with her family. Her husband ordered an appetizer and she had some, which wasn't the plan. I'm not saying having an appetizer is inherently bad, but she had an appetizer, a good portion of it, and then her entree, and she overate. She felt awful. She had her day planned and, things kind of just fell off the wayside. She also mentioned that on Saturday, they had a movie night with all the snacks, and her husband cracked open a beer. She looked at him, said, I want a beer. So she also had a beer. So this is where I asked her to start reframing things, to practice taking, shall we call it, radical responsibility or personal responsibility, and reframing the statements that she told me. And taking responsibility looks like this. I chose to eat the appetizer my husband ordered. Notice what I said at the beginning. I chose. I'm taking responsibility. Her second statement looked like this. I chose to stay up late, eat all the snacks, and have a beer with my husband. And by doing so, something shifted in her. You could call it maybe an aha moment. The thing is, you and only you are solely responsible for your behaviors and your choices in any and every situation. Even if that situation doesn't align with your goals or what you want to achieve, your choices, your actions are solely your responsibility. And when she put that together, she was like, oh, okay, I felt terrible. I felt guilty. I felt ashamed. I didn't really want to share this with you, but that's why you're here in my corner to help me work through these things out. And once I made that connection, that every single choice, every single day, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, is your responsibility. Pretty impactful. It's also important, which I shared with her, to mention that blaming yourself for these missteps or these speed bumps or whatever you want to call them is often full of shame and unproductive. And there's a big difference between blaming yourself for something and recognizing that you have a choice in the way you behave. You're able to learn from it when necessary. Life is a big lesson. We are constantly learning and adapting. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result, that is the definition of insanity. But you can see how it's just going to keep you stuck. You can make changes in the future. And I think a lot of us get so caught up because we fail over and over and over again that we just think like, I'm not meant to lose weight. I'm not meant to be healthy, or whatever the story that you tell yourself. And again, I've talked about language and I'm going to keep talking about mindset because I feel that's coming up quite a bit. But the language you use, the stories you tell, are usually in alignment with your actions. For example, I don't know why this just came to the top of my head, but if you say you're bad with money or you're broke or whatever it might be, you're likely going to be bad with money. You will overspend, you're not going to save, you'll spend things foolishly. When you feel bad, you might just go on your phone and buy something on Instagram or Amazon or whatever just to make you feel better. As I shared on, can't remember when, maybe it was Thursday, if you say like, I'm not a morning person, you're not going to be a morning person, right? Your actions, what you tell yourself, your stories, so impactful. So I want to give you a couple action steps here as we start wrapping up this live. Focus on your controllables, which will always be your words and your actions. And controllables in terms of your health and fitness journey can be your nutrition. So what foods you choose to eat, the portions you choose to eat, how much water you choose to drink, movement and exercise. So how often you move in terms of steps, workouts, stretching. That's your choice, always. What type of exercise you do, your choice, always. The effort and consistency, again, it comes down to your choice, your controllable. When we look at lifestyle, recovery, sleep, creating a bedtime routine, stress management, rest days, and active recovery, these are all your choices. We can't blame anybody else. And I'll even go as far as saying as your mindset and habits. That's something you can 100% control. Your attitude towards setbacks, such as I failed versus I'm learning. That's your choice, your mind. You can create those thoughts. The environment that you set up, keeping healthy foods at home, scheduling your workouts, scheduling breath work, doing food prep. And then how consistent and patient you are with the process is a controllable that lies on you. And the last thing is to start reframing, which I kind of shared with you today. We reframed her initial sentences where she was kind of placing the blame on the situation, on her husband, on the snacks that were there potentially. So learning to reframe and to start experimenting with the words I chose. I chose to go to the gym. I chose to stay up late and snack, right? It doesn't always have to be a positive thing. You can own every single one of your choices. And the words I chose are a powerful reminder that you are in charge of your actions and your outcomes. So I will leave it there. Hopefully that hits in some type of way. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to share or reach out. Enjoy the rest of your day.